Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is on the Citizen KinderTime. This is a watch not actually designed for adults, it's actually meant for kids. And it's actually designed to help kids tell the time. So this is a really interesting vintage Citizen watch. Now it doesn't say Citizen here, but if I take off this NATO strap, which by the way, it's a terrible NATO strap, but it was the only one I could find that would actually fit this size of a tiny watch. This watch, you can see here, it says Parawater Citizen. So this is a super old watch. I'm actually not sure exactly how old it was. And when I first got it, it was actually quite scratched up. So thankfully this is acrylic crystal, so I was able to buff it out. But yeah, this is a very old watch designed for, I guess, kindergartners or people in grade 1 or grade 2. And just to prove it, let me just show you, before I do a wrist shot, let's look at the dimensions first. You can see the case size is about, let's see if I do the math, I'm getting about 31.8, 31.9, I'd probably say 32 for the case diameter, and then the lug to lug, I think I measured it before, it was like close to 39. Yeah, I would just honestly put that as like around 39. Height is 9 millimeters, and then the lug width, I'm trying to remember if I remember this. I think it was about 16, about, 16 millimeters. So very small watch, and kind of makes sense because it's designed for kids. Now, in terms of the history of this watch, again, there really isn't much online about this watch. There are kind of a group of watches that are like this. There's kind of different color combos you can go with. I believe there's a blue one, and there's also like a green and yellow one, which I'm not too sure because I'm colorblind, but yeah, just know that there's a few different color variants, but the design is all the same. You know, you have this kind of colorful circle that tells the hours and then the minutes on the outside, and they're all KinderTime. And actually Seiko has a similar-ish one. They also have a watch that's designed for young kids to learn how to tell time. So it's kind of cool. I guess Japan, you know, they have Seiko and Citizen, so you know, those companies put it upon themselves to make some watches designed for kids. I guess they do that in North America as well. But let's put this on the wrist. So let's see what it looks like for a very tiny watch on a very bad strap on my 6-inch wrist. Ooh, you can see there's a lot of overhang on this strap. Honestly, this strap feels like it's made of cardboard. I just got it from Amazon, so that is not the fault of the Citizen KinderTime. So there you go, 6-inch wrist. It is a small watch. So I don't know, I kind of had mixed feelings on it because, you know, a lot of vintage watches are actually quite small. You know, if you look at vintage Rolexes, you know, the vintage Oyster Perpetual, vintage Air King, vintage Datejust, a lot of those were like 34 millimeters. So, you know, what's wrong with 32 millimeters? So I got this watch because it just looks so cool. You know, I would see them on Yahoo Japan auctions, which I guess is not called that anymore. I think it's called JD Direct auctions now. But same thing, it just looks so cool, you know, and it's very easy to read. Kind of has a certain charm to it, like a very vintage style charm. I wouldn't say it's tiny. You know what? It's small. It's extra small, but it's not tiny. So, you know, if you have like a 7-inch wrist, 8-inch wrist, you probably will find this as like too toy-like, but you know, on a 6-inch wrist, it's actually not too bad. And so if you want to find it online, here's the part that I don't like is that on eBay, I think it goes for like a few $100s, but I actually got this one for $50. So I really don't think you should overpay for this. And not to mention though, what makes it kind of worth it is that this is a manual hand winding movement. I don't know if you can hear the winding, but it is a hand winding movement. If I pull the crown out, yeah, so there is no hacking. So the seconds hand keeps going, which is fine. I mean, it's an old watch, probably a very basic movement. Time adjustment seems to be working fine. Accuracy, power reserve, I'm really not sure. I haven't used it that much. But, oh, and one more thing, this watch does tick pretty loudly. So I think the first time I got it, I wound up the watch and then put it beside my bed, and then I went to bed, or I went to sleep, and I actually got woken up by how loud it's ticking. So Probably needs a service ideally. You can see here it says Japan 1782-IY. Don't know what it says there. That might be some Japanese characters. Kinder time, there was loom, but it's now completely blackened out on the hands. Again, you have that domed crystal, pretty basic stainless steel, nothing, like high-end polishing or anything like that. And there's your crown, unsigned, but it is serrated. So, and again, manual winding, not automatic. But that does make sure that the watch is quite thin. And honestly, if they came with a flat crystal, this would be like a 5-6 millimeter watch. So very smooth and very cute. I actually don't know who I would recommend this watch to. Maybe an avid collector, and you can give it to your partner who has small wrists. Maybe you can give it to a child, although it's still a vintage antique. So I don't know if you'd give it to a kid. They would probably want like a Swatch or a Timex instead. All right, and just to end off here, I'm going to be showing the watch from a third-person perspective. So again, 32 millimeters on a 6-inch wrist. It is on the small side. You would consider this to be like a vintage dress watch territory in terms of the size, but I feel like the NATO strap does give it a bit more size and presence on the wrist. And I do think if you have like a 7.5-inch wrist, this might be a little bit too small for you. It might look like a toy on your wrist, but for me, it's actually not too bad. And who knows, maybe I'll actually wear it in public one of these days. But yeah, that's about it. That's it for the Citizen Kinder watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for more videos. And as always, see you guys next time.